Wildfires breaking out in Israel. The conclave is starting today. And is America becoming a fascist country? Welcome to the Love Project with me, Han Royani, and my co-host
BJ, what's up?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to our latest show. We have a lot to talk about today.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Lots been happening.
Around the world. You know, maybe we can start first with Israel, Gaza. Okay, so a massive fire just broke out in Israel. Do you know about
Yeah,
this?
I heard about it. And it was apparently caused by invasive species of crops that the Israelis planted, right?
Yeah, so they have been planting a lot of European pine trees and some other trees.
Trees in Palestine.
Yeah. Basically, trees that are not native to the land.
Yeah, but pine trees? That's a bit
No, I mean, like,
in the desert.
That's why you wonder, Israelis, are they actually Middle Eastern or are they like European? You know what I mean? They're like, if they are truly native to the land, why would they want to bring in? Apparently it's an invasive species.
On that question, to be honest with you, if you look at the history of it, most current Israelis are actually Eastern European Jews.
Yeah,
you know.
And it's illegal to do a DNA test in Israel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they know if they actually do the DNA test in Israel, most of them will find out that they are not actually native to the land.
Yeah. No, but how could they be if they just know their history? They were given the land in 1947.
I mean,
right?
Most of those people pretty much just migrated there.
Yeah, Israel like was at least how it started. I'm not trying to be anti-Semitic or whatever. Mm-hmm. This is just history.
Yeah.
Okay. How it started was as a Jewish, essentially, refugee camp, concentration camp.
Yeah.
Like all the Jews put there in an area of Palestine.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's being called Israel.
Yeah, exactly. Ever since, I think
it was 45.
Yeah, we've covered this before, I think. But basically, it's basically during the first Nakba.
The first Nakba was 47, but I think it was the UN resolution. The
Balfour Declaration.
Yeah, I think that was in 45 or 43, something like that.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm not anti-Semitic. I think I've been just stating the facts. So all the facts that actually are put forth right now, it shows that most Israelis are not actually from the land. The plants that they planted there are not actually from the land. So basically, a lot of them are either migrants or first generation migrants.
All around, yeah.
And have you seen this documentary? It's called The Settlers. It's a BBC documentary by Louis Theroux.
Okay.
So basically, this guy is a comedian.
Yep.
Okay, you might have seen him.
He's the guy with the glasses, right?
The guy with the glasses. Yeah. So he got viral for my money don't jiggle, it falls. That guy.
Yeah, I know.
So that guy came up with a documentary. He did it in Israel. And it's called The Settlers. So basically, the whole premise of the show is it's a documentary. So he would just go around talking to Palestinians, talking to Israelis without really exacerbating the condition. And I was so impressed by how calm he was because I would have lost my if I was there. So basically, he was talking to a bunch of Zionists, and basically, they are just pretty much admitting that they want to expel or ethnically cleanse the Palestinian by moving them out of Gaza, and they want to recreate Gaza into a settler community area.
Yeah, it's like what they did with Rafah, with the West Bank. You know, it's been done already.
Yeah.
With even Jerusalem.
Yeah.
You know, to start with.
Yeah.
So it's the same MO. Basically, these settlers can come in at the invitation of the Israeli government and take over whatever Palestinian homes they want, and the Palestinians basically do not have any authority or legal recourse to get their homes back.
Yeah. So in the documentary, you can see like Palestinians. They were like, some of them were working in like different parts of Israel. Some of them were just like traveling around. I mean, they live there. So they were, in Israel, there's a lot of checkpoints.
Yep.
You see, so even for, not just for Palestinians, for any tourists that come,
Yep.
but there's a double standard when it comes to Palestinians. So Louis Theroux, he experienced this himself.
Yep.
So basically, he would go to places and then all the the IDF.
Mhm.
They would go up to him and then they'll be like, "Oh, ID please, ID please." And then he was like asking, "Why? Your friends already saw my ID like just like 5 minutes ago."
Yep.
But basically, they were saying that how it's a tactic for the IDF to just scare people or who they think like are media,
Yeah.
basically. And
No,
then
to add to that, to
Yeah.
expand on it a little bit, there's actually, because you mentioned double standard, right?
yeah,
There's actually more than a double standard.
Yep.
Uh,
it's apartheid.
it is apartheid, yes, but in reference to your pointing out about the checkpoints, right?
Yeah.
There's actually, I think, 5 or 6 different categories of citizens in Israel and Palestine that are acknowledged by the Israelis. So, there are certain citizens or people living in the area that are only allowed to move within Gaza.
Yeah.
Same as there are some people that are only living in Rafah that can only move within Rafah. They cannot move in between the
Yeah.
two areas,
Yeah.
even though they are Palestine, and
They're pretty much stuck there.
yeah, they're pretty much stuck in their own
Yeah.
area. And then even on the Israeli side, there are like Palestinian Israelis apparently who are Muslim, who are Christians, who are Jews, who are also not given full rights.
Yeah.
As opposed to a Zionist Jew
Yep.
who has all the rights in the world in Israel.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
even like say
even their own people are being oppressed to a certain extent.
Yeah. So even if you're a Jewish guy from New York, somehow you can live there, but a Palestinian who was born there cannot like access majority of the
Yep.
city. You
Yep.
know what I mean?
Yep.
So and then there was this one point where it was a tourist attraction in Israel. I forgot where the place was, but basically, even for normal tourists to go there, they give you like you have to check you have to get your ID checked and
Yep.
everything.
Yep.
But then as soon as a Palestinian comes in, okay, are you Palestinian? It's like yes, okay, get off, get lost. So
Right.
that's like, and this was in the documentary.
Right.
They showed everything, and the host didn't even have to say anything.
Right.
Because I feel like if he did say anything, which I would have done, I would have probably been escorted out.
Right.
So I really commended this guy for like having the patience, because I would not have that patience.
Yep.
I have all the times for Israelis, but at that point I just, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So-
I get it. But I guess he was coming at it from like trying to be as impartial as possible. Just because I guess it wouldn't have helped the documentary if he was biased, or
Yeah.
or at least even if he wasn't biased, but there was a perception of bias by the audience. Like, I don't think the documentary would have been as
Yep.
impactful.
Yep,
You know what I
yep.
mean? So
And that's
kudos.
That's the thing about the documentary. He didn't have to say anything. He just let these people show their true colors.
Yep.
So and it's just crazy for me to watch, and how the country of Israel has allowed this sort of mindset to just have been like passed down to their people. And it's basically like they all agree what Benjamin Netanyahu is doing. Everything that from like getting the settler communities here, to blocking the food, to bombing the Palestinians.
Well, basically, I know from the settler point of view, because they come from all around the world.
Yeah.
And when they come from all around the world, these people that are coming to Israel as settlers, they don't really come from the best background. You know what I mean? They are immigrants. I mean, no.
Yeah.
no
I mean,
two ways about it.
everywhere we've got immigrants.
They are actual real immigrants.
Yeah,
They're coming to a foreign country,
Yeah.
and they're not coming. You don't go to a foreign country for a new life, for a new house, for example.
yeah.
No matter how it's promised to you, if
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
if you have a stable house and a stable home, a stable life
Yeah.
at home, you know what I mean? So like, I mean, I'll ask you, like, if somebody were to offer you, you can pick any house you want in Dubai, would you go? Like out of nowhere?
I would.
Out of nowhere?
Yeah. If someone were to offer me in Dubai, yeah. I mean, like, even though, I mean, it's unfair for the people of Dubai, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But if someone were to offer me that, I mean, like, and the international community is allowing this to happen, I do understand the
No.
benefits.
all that notwithstanding, or whatever it is, like somebody's offering you a house that you have that you are able to live in,
Dude,
repercussions aside, but you know,
in this
the whole deal is that okay, you come here, we have a house for you, you take whatever house you want here.
bro, in this economy, I'll take a free house anything.
Okay, all right, but you know, my
No,
point.
but I'm not saying it's right.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's right.
my point is that it's not gonna be done by someone who is leading a successful life.
Oh yeah,
You know?
you're right. You're right.
Like if you are unstable, or if your life is not the most particularly stable, like you can't hold down a job, you don't have income, you don't have a family and all that. Okay, fine. Like there's an argument to be made that you would do whatever you can for fresh opportunity, right? But if you have a stable life, you're not going to be uprooting your life and your family just to go live in some country you don't know. You know what I mean? So, like living in a country like that, or in any other country than your own, it's especially at 30, 40, 50 years old, which is the age that these settlers are coming in at.
Yep.
You is completely foreign, you know. So you're going there essentially at the start out of desperation as well.
Okay, but I
Yeah.
don't get the entitlement that these people get. Like even for me, you asked me the
No,
question.
the entitlement comes from the government, of course.
Okay, but
Yeah.
but you asked me if I were to be given a house in Dubai. I mean, like I would go, but for me, knowing that I'm in a foreign land, I would respect the people. I would respect the country. I wouldn't go to Dubai and I'm like, hey, this house is promised to me 3,000 years ago. Get out.
But it is not promised to you 3,000 years ago.
Yeah, it's-
the
yes.
the government right now is giving you the authority to go in and take any house
Yeah,
you want.
yeah. That's the
you know?
thing. That's the
so it's not about the settlers. It's not about their entitlement. They believe that this was our land 3,000, 4,000 years ago. It's not that. It's simply the fact that the Israeli government, the current Israeli
Yeah.
government, is allowing it. Is enabling it. In fact, it's like
Yeah.
inviting people to come in, and you can kick these people out, and they cannot kick you out. If they try to kick you out, it cause you trouble. You call us, and we come in,
Yeah.
and we f them up for you.
No, but why
You know,
are the
that's where the entitlement comes from.
Yeah, but why is the Israeli government allowing this to happen unless they don't believe themselves that okay, you know what, we are supposed to be staying here. These people are not supposed to live here. Let's just get rid of them.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if it's even that. I don't think that's the belief. Maybe in some of the most conservative, staunch Zionist beliefs, maybe that is the case. Maybe. I don't know. But I do think like right now is it's simply a matter of these people, the settlers, are people that are coming from different parts of the world.
Yeah.
That don't have stable lives wherever they come from, and they're just going because they have an opportunity that is given to them, that is enabled to them by the government. The Israeli, like you ask the question, why do they come to this place, feel so entitled and feel like they can boss people around. But and it's the simple fact that the Israeli government wants them to do that because they want more people that are sympathetic to the Israelis. It's not different than the whole open border thing in the US.
Oh, when Biden was
When Biden was president,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Like people are coming in, these people are being shipped to different swing states, and then being given social security, being given credit cards,
Yeah.
being given free housing,
Yeah.
or at least if not on a permanent basis, temporarily. And they know that the Democrats, and they are being told that the Democrats are the ones that are allowing this to happen. So in 16 years time, in 12 years time, when election comes,
these people will have
who are they going to vote for?
Yeah.
You know, and that's basically like an influx of 150 to 150,000 people per county
Yeah.
that are all blue.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why they brought in these people.
So what the Israelis are doing
They-
are basically doing that on a more brutal and hardcore level.
Yeah.
You know, that's all they're doing. Because once they stack the deck, they say, and they can say, oh, Israelis are living here now in Gaza. Or Israelis are living here in Rafah. There are no more Palestinians. Palestinians are less than a minority now.
Yeah.
In terms of numbers at least.
Okay.
You know? Like they don't occupy even 10% of the
Yeah.
population. Because they are pushing out.
Yeah.
So the war, the machinations of Israel trying to become a larger country territorially is happening on so many folds. They're attacking Yemen, they're attacking the Houthis, they're attacking all that. But at the same time, they're also internally doing all these things where slowly they're pushing out Palestinians so that eventually, 100 years time, if these Palestinians are pushed out, no one in 100 years time is like, none of us are going to be alive anymore.
No.
And those people are not going to remember the struggle of the Palestinians from 100 years ago. You know what I mean?
I mean, unless they don't teach it in the history books.
No, they
they're not
teach
gonna
about
remember.
Nakba.
Yeah.
They teach us about Nakba today, right?
Yeah.
Like we know, even if it's not in the history books, we know about it, right? Do we really have any sympathy or empathy for the people that were displaced in 1947? Like, be true about it. Like, be honest about it. Like, we don't even know them.
We don't even know them.
We
But
don't even know them.
it's a terrible tragedy, that has happened.
I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah.
But do we actually have real empathy and sympathy for something that happened damn near 100 years ago?
I mean, now if you look at it from a different perspective, sure. I mean, like, because we live in the current time, so 100 years ago it was a different time.
Like, it doesn't affect us in any way.
It doesn't affect us.
Yeah.
But
so
it's not that
the empathy or even the sympathy for it will only go so far. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm not saying that, okay, whatever, it was 1947. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that it happened back then. It's already happened. 80 years have passed.
Yeah.
And there's nothing we can do about it now.
No, there is something that we can do about it. I feel because of history is a great reminder for humanity. So things that have happened before, which was terrible, by the way, like anything like Holocaust, the Nakba, everything, we can learn from that. Learn from that and educate. Like,
I agree. But I'm saying that the people that were displaced, reality-wise, people that were displaced in 1947 remain displaced. Like, even if they have family that have lived on till now, they are not where they were originally from anymore because they were displaced.
Yeah.
And there's nothing we can do about it now. About them.
Yeah.
Like, of course we can learn from the history of it and we can try to stop it. But at the end of the day, the reality of the situation is that these are the people that are in power of the territory, and they're gonna do what they want.
And it's crazy that we've been watching news week after week where Israel repeatedly commits like war crimes, and the recent one, I think they are planning for a full Gaza seizure, even amidst all these conflicts that is happening with Israel. I mean, later we'll talk about the Houthi and the Houthi Yemen. But basically, even after all that they've done, after all the people that they have displaced, they are trying to intensify its military campaign in Gaza by potentially seizing the entire strip to dismantle Hamas and the displacement or rescue hostages, basically. And this could lead to more displacement of possibly hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, which is going to make things even worse over there in Gaza. And it's to me, watching the news sometimes I feel I feel really down, because there's nothing like we try our best, we share everything about Palestinians, but unless like the world does something about it, the world government does something about it, then people are still going to be displaced, people are still going to die. And it's I mean, like, I'm just venting out here just because like I don't know where else I can go to, like.
I guess that's part of the strategy, like on the Israeli part, because like maybe the whole thing is just going to be like a war of attrition, not just on the war itself, the real war, but also in terms of the media war, the propaganda war, where they're just going to keep doing this because they know no one's going to stop them.
Yeah.
And eventually everyone else all around the world is just going to lose interest because it's just going to keep happening and accept that that's the reality of it. It sucks that that's the case, but I think that's what is actually going to happen.
I'll give you some good news, maybe. I don't know if it's good news, but basically about near Tel Aviv airport, Yemen's Houthi rebels just launched a missile
The hypersonic
strike
missile
near the Ben
That's what I
Gurion
want to know.
airport.
Where the are they getting hypersonic missiles? This These are
Exactly.
rebels.
And that's just like the Yemenis. And actually, like Iran is actually doing missile launches and doing nuclear deal talks with the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like like Israel has a lot of enemies around its side,
Okay.
and the fact that they've had the impunity to do the things that they've been doing after more than a year.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they were backed by the US, a lot of countries are like afraid to like challenge the Israelis. A lot of people are even afraid to speak out at protests because in the US you get deported for that.
Okay.
So I feel it's refreshing. I'm not an advocate for war, but anytime someone steps out of line, someone should be able to check that person and make sure he follows the rules. So I feel like maybe the Yemenis and the Iranians, I don't necessarily agree with what they are doing, but it is a way for them to possibly counter what Israel is doing. And again, I'm not a fan. I'm into peace. I don't want war.
I have a slightly differing perspective on that.
Of course.
I feel like what they're doing is actually a detriment towards the peace path.
Mm-hmm.
Because like
Okay,
yeah,
but before you start, if they don't do that, who's gonna check Israel?
well, right now that's a good question, but you also have to weigh. Okay, like the whole October 7th thing, right? What did you achieve? If you're Hamas, what did you achieve?
Okay.
Honestly, like put aside the terrible treatment that Israelis have done towards Palestinians over the last 80 or so years, whatever the case may be. What did October 7 achieve for Hamas? What do holding on to all those hostages achieve for Hamas? What has Hamas achieved besides 3 of their top leaders being executed?
Okay. To be honest, it's been more detrimental for Hamas
And for the
and for the
Palestinians.
Palestinians.
Yeah. Not so much Hamas. Hamas are still loaded. Like
Okay lah, okay.
the daughters and sons of the deceased Hamas leaders, Ismail Haniya, Yahya Sinwar,
Mm-hmm.
they were all worth billions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were all worth billions.
They're worth billions, but
And their family are all no longer in Palestine. I think Yahya Sinwar's family is in Paris. Ismail Haniya's family was in London. If I'm not mistaken, still in London.
Okay, but how did he die?
What do you mean?
How did Yahya Sinwar, all this, how did they die? Were they not with the Palestinians? Were they not there, like risking their life?
Okay. No. Yes.
Name any other billionaires who would do that.
No. That is not the argument here.
Okay.
The argument here, what I asked was specifically what has Hamas achieved.
Okay.
Besides the cutting off of 3 of their heads.
Okay.
What has it achieved?
Okay. If you look at it from a broader perspective, it's terrible. Ever since October 7th, everything has gone. But one positive thing is that people now talk about this. People are now.
It's not positive if talking about it does not achieve anything.
No, I mean, but more people are aware of it.
Okay, but fine. But being aware of it is not. We're talking about death though.
Yeah.
Death of women, children. Women and men.
Okay.
Women and men. They, when it comes to having to defend your country, and defend. Even some of them defend their religion.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. There is a role that women and men have to play. But children are dying by the hundreds of thousands. You know, I am no longer concerned about billionaires posturing, like sitting in a couch being defiant towards a drone right before he gets blown up. What the does that have to do with appeasing kids that are dying, or children of the or parents of the kids that have died? It's done nothing. And all Hamas did on October 7th, I I'm not a Jew hater. I'm not a Muslim hater. Okay, I'm neither of this. When it comes to this, I'm not even a humanitarian, dude. I'm none of those things. What I am is I'm not a peace lover. I'm not a war hawk. You know, I'm not either. I just don't want kids dying.
Yeah, yeah.
End of the day. Okay.
Okay.
So my question is, my question was, what did Hamas achieve? And my answer, my observation, Hamas achieved nothing, absolutely nothing
Okay.
in the advancement of having a two-state solution, three-state solution. Did not advance that cause in any way, shape or form. If anything, at least in terms of that, Hamas set them back at least 15, 20 years
Okay.
in terms of trying to achieve a two-state solution.
Okay.
That's one.
Okay.
But that is okay, fine. That's an estimation. But reality-wise, they have not done their population. If Hamas is the government in Gaza, whatever, or the authority in Gaza at least, they have not done anything to protect their people. If Hamas knew, if you know that Israel is the top 5 military superpower in the world, and you want to shoot rockets into your that they can defend 99% off or 90% off, whatever it may be, and whatever that gets through doesn't even hit civilians, doesn't even hit anything crucial. I'm not saying that I wanted Hamas to kill civilians. That's not the case. But if you want to make a real impact, what you're doing is essentially posturing.
Okay.
That's all it was.
Okay, but what would you think the better alternative would be? Do you think they should have done it
Stop
peacefully?
the animosity.
Stop the animosity?
Yeah, they should have done that. Hamas should have done that years ago. If they were serious about being a representative of the Palestinian people and in pursuing a proper two-state solution, they should have done it diplomatically. Whether they could have done with this president or that president or whatever, that's a different argument.
Okay.
But you cannot deny that Hamas themselves have been antagonistic towards Israel.
How would you be diplomatic to someone that you're supposed to work with when that person has destroyed your house, has killed your family?
Understood. But you have to accept it. You have to accept it. It's the same thing as Ukraine and Russia. Zelensky keeps saying, how can I accept the terms of the Russians when the Russians have been killing my people? Okay, which is okay, fine, a valid argument. I as a leader, you should feel that way. But at the same time, you are the leader of your people. You are the leader of the people that are still alive. The people that are dead are dead. Yes, mourn them. Okay, celebrate them if you must. Fine, that's your thing, personal thing. But you, as the leader of a country, you cannot care about the people that have gone. You care about the existence and the continuation of your country, of the people that are still alive.
Yeah.
And that's what Hamas right now seemingly is ignoring to do.
Okay, here's where I have a problem with that.
Because they are still using civilian installations. And okay, it was different in the wake of October 7 when they were doing that, like using civilian hospitals and civilian schools, right? Fine. Back then, nobody thought Israel was going to be that evil enough to attack these places.
Yeah.
In the wake of October 7. But it's been almost 2 years. You know they're doing that. Stop doing that. Kids are dying. Enough.
Do you think they have not done it democratically? Do you think they have not tried to
Not
do it
since
peacefully?
what, 1975? 1979?
No.
They've not.
Since the
Like
Nakba
if you want to say that the animosity has only come from the Israelis, you're not being intellectually honest about that.
No.
Because the Palestinians, or at least not the Palestinians, Hamas have also been just as antagonistic towards the Israelis. It's the same thing.
I mean, I wouldn't be too friendly with the organization that has been terrorizing my people and taking the land of my people. I wouldn't be too friendly with them too. Okay, but one thing I want to say, before October 7th, every year, since I would say 2012 maybe, before October 7th, hundreds of people die every year in Palestine because of what the IDF has been doing.
Hundreds, right?
Hundreds of people.
Okay.
But okay,
Continue,
it's worse now. And these people have been trying for years democratically. They go do protests, they get arrested. Even some of them are still arrested now, like 20 years on. So they've tried everything in a peaceful way. You think Israel?
I don't think that
Okay, what
statement
else?
is completely
What
true.
else would you have done?
I don't know what they've done diplomatically, but the public stance of being antagonistic towards each other. I'm not putting the
Okay,
blame solely on Palestine or
Okay.
on Hamas. This is also on the part of the Israelis, of course, but on the part of Hamas, you have to realize that's your bully, and the bully is bigger than you right now. So why you're not like, this is not a Middle Ages castle where all you do if you're the smaller force and you're attacking the castle is you chip away a bit by bit, and then slowly the wall comes down. This is not that.
No.
This is not that. This is real. This is real modern warfare. Okay. So Hamas, like I said, in the wake of October 7, in the weeks after October 7, yes, you can say, okay, Hamas didn't think that they would actually attack the civilian installations. Fine. But it's been 2 years. Hamas needs to stop doing that. It's done. You know they're still going to attack. They are evil. But does that mean that because they are evil, you are still going to be putting women and children in front of you? Because you know they're going to do that. Like, fine. 3 months after October 7, you say that you don't know. You can claim that. But 2 years? You want to say that, oh, we're using these women here and children in front of us because we are hoping they will not attack women and children. But they will. They've done that over the last 2 years.
No, the thing is they separate the public and also the Hamas military section separately. But for some reason, like you said, Israel is evil. I don't understand what they're doing. They still bomb these people, and I'm not saying that what Hamas has done or any sort of like organization that has used deadly force, I do not commend any of that. But what are the alternatives? They have tried everything.
Yeah,
okay. In 2022, I think over 200 people died. You know who? Okay, one of them is this like American Palestinian journalist called Shireen Abu Akleh.
Yeah.
Okay, so she every year, like for her job, she would go to Israel, Palestine, and record all this. And eventually, they shot her. And this was 2 years before October 7th. And she has been one of the most vocal voices that talk about it peacefully.
And there were people tons of years that went through the same thing. Journalists that went through the same thing in the 80 years since the Nakba. Same thing.
Yeah.
That's not my concern. Journalists don't move the needle.
No.
It's sad that she got shot in the line of duty of her work.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah, that's sad. But
do you know what happened during her funeral? So the Palestinians carried her, revered this woman.
Okay.
They carried her casket to be buried.
Okay.
So as they were walking from the mosque to the cemetery, IDF forces came, beat all these people up, and nearly took her casket.
Okay.
And no one talks about this. And this was way before October 7th. And she's an American.
Yeah, but we knew these things were happening. We all knew these things were happening. And talking about it doesn't solve anything. Just talking about it doesn't solve anything. That's my whole point. Right now, every day somebody's posting some crazy about some footage that happened to some baby, some kid in Gaza. It's been like that for 2 years. People have been posting about that for 2 years. From hundreds before October 7 a year, now it's hundreds of thousands even a month. In 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
So how can you say things have gotten better? No. Hamas has not done anything well for the Palestinians since October 7. If they really did care, release the hostages. Those hostages are civilians. Release the hostages.
Some of them are soldiers. A lot of them are soldiers.
Okay,
actually.
fine. If they are soldiers, hold on to the soldiers. Soldiers are prisoner of war. That's fair game.
Okay, they're trying to leverage what they have because Israel has so like thousands.
Yeah, but they
of
don't have the
Palestinians.
leverage. 1,100 hostages is not leverage enough against a superpower.
Okay, in that sense, you're right, and I do think that Netanyahu uses this as because but Netanyahu doesn't care about the Israeli hostages. That's why he's been bombing.
Clear, dude.
Yeah.
I don't my argument is nothing to do with Netanyahu. Netanyahu is a war criminal. Okay, official war criminal. There's a warrant out
by the ICC.
There's a warrant out on him. Okay, the argument when it comes to Netanyahu is over. He's evil. We know that. The whole world knows that. Okay, he's evil. That is the easy part of the equation for me to solve, because that is already clear cut.
Okay.
He's shown that he's evil, and we can expect him to act in the most evil ways possible.
Okay.
Okay? That's Netanyahu. So we put him aside. I'm not arguing about him. You and me agree that he is the
Dajjal.
basically lah, if you want to call him that. But he is the personification of evil. Okay?
Yeah.
We agree with that. My concern is that people are not understanding that Hamas is actually doing more harm to the Palestinian people than we think.
Okay.
Because of all these stupid little military measures, they are not amounting to everything. They shoot 1,000 rockets, 900 rockets get shot down. Or 990 rockets get shot down, 10 get past, and then hit a random building, random military base with, somehow it was already emptied like 2 hours before the military base was already evacuated. You know? Like, okay, fine. We want to talk about it, we talk about it. But we have to be intellectually honest about this.
Okay.
You know? Like, Hamas is not the good guy that people think they are. They're just not. They're in power, they have authority, and they're not using that authority for the betterment of their people, which is what they should do.
Okay.
Instead, their leaders are becoming billionaires.
Okay, I have a question for you. Say Malaysia like starts to gather like all these refugees or migrants from other places, because they've just been through a war, like they just went through something horrible to their people.
Talking about the Rohingya?
Okay, there's parallels, but no. That's one thing we should talk about in the future. But okay, basically, if Malaysia were to do something like that, and that community ended up being very hostile, starts taking people's land, starts burning people's trees and farms. What's that?
You mean the Bangladeshis?
There are parallels, but okay, but that's another topic that we should talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, if someone like a group from like Malaysians banded together and say, "Hey, this is wrong. We should stand up to these people." Would you not support them? Because no one else would.
Yeah, but that's vague though. Like, stand up. Okay, fine, stand up. But are you gonna go get are you gonna go out and get your kapak and keris and go and, you know, chop some limbs off? Is that what you're gonna do to stand up?
If I'm in a position,
or are you gonna go get?
Dude, we are not in the position of the Palestinians. We have not been through what they've been through.
Agreed. I'm not picking a fight with the Palestinians.
Yeah.
The Palestinians are the victims here.
Yeah.
If you listen to what I'm saying, the Palestinians are the victim. The people that are victimizing them on top of the Israelis are also Hamas. That is my point. The Hamas government, I'm not being anti-Palestinian anyway. I am showing more empathy for them than most people on social media talking about them today. Because all they do is post about, their kids dying. But are you actually affecting anything? I'm not going to say that. Okay? Look, my point is simple. And is that if you took this recourse of October 7 and what you did, and held on to the hostages for 3 months, and you use civilian installations to mask your military installations for 3 months after October 7, and the Israelis kept attacking you and killing all these human shields that they like to call it. I personally don't believe that Hamas is purposely using these people as human shields. I don't believe that. But people are evil. Okay, so I don't know, and I don't think Hamas is wholeheartedly good guys. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I don't think that they're using human shields on purpose. Okay, Hamas. But the fact of the matter is, reality is, even if you think, okay, the Israelis are not going to attack, reality of the situation is, within the week after you attack October 7, they were attacking hospitals and schools.
Yeah.
Okay? Within a week after October 7. So you know that's happening. Stop doing that. Stop putting these kids and women in danger.
No, but that's the thing. They only did it once, and after that, for months, they didn't do anything but Israel kept bombing.
What, the
bombing.
October 7?
After October 7?
Yeah, because that's what a bully does to you to keep you in line. Because they have more power over you. That's why I say Hamas should have taken all that into consideration. What they did was just an ego play. October 7 was just an ego play. If you look at it, it's like you going up to the UFC 185-pound champion and just kicking him in the balls. Okay, fine, that hurts.
Okay.
That hurts. But when he wakes up, protect your neck, bro.
I do.
What are you gonna do?
I do agree that October 7th was a terrible thing that has happened. Maybe, I mean, perhaps they shouldn't have done that. But I feel like if you were Palestinians, you wouldn't stand for it. And I don't commend October 7th. I do not commend killing anyone. But if they did not do something like that, the world wouldn't be talking about this. Sure, like a lot of people has died.
I don't care about
A lot
the
of
world.
people has died.
I don't care about the world talking about this or not. But what I care about is the hundreds a year turning to hundreds and thousands a year.
Yeah.
That's what I care about. And October 7 was the exact watershed moment that turned hundreds a year to hundreds and thousands a year. And it's not going to stop. See, that was the part that Hamas up really bad. Because before this, you could at least manage a few hundred people a year dying. Can you manage a few 100,000 people a year dying?
And also your infrastructure getting...
It's gone. It's gone.
Demolished.
Yeah. Before October 7,
Yeah.
the infrastructure was still there.
Yeah.
However they treated you at checkpoints or whatever, infrastructure was still there. You still had houses and all that, and hospitals, schools. But now, you don't have all that. You don't have food. You don't have running water. Hundreds and thousands of people are dying. Was it really worth it? Was it really worth it?
There was even claims that the Israeli government or Netanyahu knew about October 7th and they allowed it to happen.
That one is, of course they knew. Like, how can they not know? Mossad is the most powerful intelligence agency in the world. How can they not know?
Yeah.
So I don't believe that they didn't know at all. They knew. They let it happen because of this. Because they knew that it would give them carte blanche. We can do whatever we want because it is in protection of Israel. And Hamas should have knew this.
Yeah.
If Hamas wasn't blinded by ego,
no, they're blinded by grief. They're blinded by depression.
Not Hamas,
they're blinded by...
Not Hamas. Palestinians, yeah, but not Hamas. They don't care.
Dude.
Hamas don't care. If they did, they wouldn't have continued. They wouldn't have continued because they would have seen hundreds and thousands. The disparity is just so big. Is unignorable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's unignorable.
Okay. It is. And it's since October 7th, it has been terrible. But we've been talking too much. We've talked too long about this. We actually have maybe like 10 minutes.
Okay.
We have so many things to talk about, but yeah.
It's okay.
Sorry for getting a bit
Cannot.
yeah,
I get passionate when kids
yeah,
die.
we got too passionate. Yeah.
I cannot.
But okay, let's talk about something fun, more
Okay,
fun, I would
let's
say.
do
Your
Conclave?
guy. No.
Trump is gonna be Pope.
Yeah, Trump.
He's gonna be Pope and President.
Bro,
Let's go.
Have you seen some of the stuff that he posts with AI pictures?
That's hilarious. He's like, and they post it on the official
Then
White House.
on the official White House Instagram. I'm
Yeah.
like, are you guys serious? Like,
Gangster.
he posted like a picture of him with a
May the 4th. Yeah, May the 4th be
May the
with you.
4th be
Yeah.
dude. And the fact he posted one with a red lightsaber.
Yeah.
He knows he's a villain at this point.
Yeah, dude. Embrace it. Embrace it.
No, but okay. Talking about Trump, you know, like he has been in power for like over 100 years. 100 days since his 100 years. That's he would want it to be 100 years. But anyway, 100 days. And he has actually gained the lowest approval rating out of any president in the history of America since its inception. Lowest ever after 100 days.
It's mostly because of the tariffs and economy lah.
Okay, let's talk about the tariffs.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, like, does he not study economy?
No. Like he does, but there was always going to be a market correction because you are doing such a big
radical
such a radical shift.
Yeah.
You know, like you are essentially what he's trying to do is pull out all American manufacturing out of China and onshore it again in America. So besides the cost issue, You know, like how things instead of costing $1 made in China will cost $5 made in America.
I think
Aside
more.
from that, it's setting up the manufacturing itself. That's not like an overnight process.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
take
yeah,
years.
I understand.
You
I
know?
understand.
So that is part of it. But I think the tariffs were not in a way not to make that happen overnight, but it was more of a negotiation tool, like for leverage against
Okay.
China.
Okay. How's
And
that going out for them?
see, that's the thing. When you're in negotiations like this, you can't. At least Trump now. Trump in this situation, he can't blink. He can't acquiesce to China
So he has to double
because
down.
yeah, he has to double down.
Wow.
That's why he doubled down.
Okay.
Because-
Yeah.
That's why he doubled
But
down.
both China has doubled down on
Of
their,
course,
yeah.
because China is also negotiating. They are also a superpower.
Yeah,
This is not Israel Palestine. You know,
No.
they both are legit
yeah.
superpowers,
Yeah.
economically and militarily. So, China basically also cannot blink. You know, so it's going to cause a stalemate. What China has in its court is that they are right now the incumbent manufacturer of the world.
Yeah.
You know, so they're all already there. It's not like there's not like a setup process to happen. So, yeah, Trump. Unfortunately,
okay.
things as it comes to the economy, the things are gonna get harder before they get better.
Okay. That's we'll put aside that.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about a lot of the things that he's doing in terms of policy changes, what he's doing in schools? He's opening Alcatraz prison.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For what?
To put more of
Like
these
using
criminals
repurposing it for
Yeah.
As a prison again.
as a prison again. Right now it's like
It's
a tourist
attraction,
tourist spot, but he's planning to open it again, and so that he can put in more people in jail.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a good thing. I feel because
It
you're
depends on what
already sending so many people to.
It depends what they're putting what he's putting them in jail for.
Yes. Okay. That's
it depends on
important.
that,
If
yeah.
he's gonna put people in jail because of drugs, violent crimes, sure, like that's perfect. But if he's putting people into prison for practicing free speech, for saying things that Trump does not agree with, then bro, that's
I don't think he's ever
fascism,
done that though.
bro. He has detained so many Palestinian protesters just because of the fact that they wear keffiyeh and they were someone prominent in their, let's say, university or something like that.
But are these guys like American citizens?
Some of them are. So a lot of them had like green cards. Like I think we talked about Mahmoud Khalil a few weeks ago.
And I think I explained why the issue with the green card.
Yeah. That's one thing. But these are a lot of them are Americans. So these are people that are gonna be Americans.
Okay.
You know. So I feel like is it not becoming a more fascist country? Because if you are like dictating what people cannot say, and you are dictating what's on the news, you are dictating what people should say about you. You are dictating the news journalist. Like he has a press conference. Someone asked him something that he doesn't agree with. Oh, what a terrible question! What a terrible reporter!
And that's free speech too, dude. Like you can't have it one way.
Okay, that's free
Like
speech, but you cannot put someone in prison.
Like I said, I don't know if he's actually doing that.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like as to my knowledge at least, he's not doing that. Like there's no law in the US that you can utilize in order to put people in jail for saying things whatever they want, except for if it's a direct incitement of violence, which has already been settled by the Supreme Court like decades ago. So, okay, well, the rhetoric might sound nice for the liberals to say that, but the truest part of it is that it's not possible. Like not in the States at least. No one can be put in jail for free speech. For speaking their
in
mind.
America, someone can be put in jail just because a cop thinks that you've done something.
Yeah. If you've committed a crime.
No,
But
if he
there's
thinks
no,
you've committed a crime.
if he thinks you've committed a crime, correct. But
Yeah.
there's no law in America that says that whenever you open your mouth, unless you're inciting violence, it cannot be a crime.
Mm.
That law is in the constitution.
Yeah.
So it's not like Trump can do anything about it, even if he wanted to. So like I said, I don't know the details of what you are referring to.
Okay.
So I don't know for sure if he's actually putting people in jail. But the US, since the Obama days, have had problems with housing inmates. Their jails are overrun, especially in California, which is where Alcatraz is. So might not be such a bad idea.
Okay.
If you want to host, like, if you want to open it up and make it, repurpose it into maximum security prison again for the worst offenders, I don't see a problem with
Yeah,
that.
if he actually puts actual criminals in there, I completely agree with.
Yeah. So like I said, the free speech thing, I don't think that's a real
Yeah.
thing. There is, it is, though, it has happened over the last year a lot in the UK and also in Germany. So that has happened there, but those were well, ironically liberal governments that were doing that, and not the conservatives. Especially a Republican president is not going to, like, he's going to spar with you. You know,
Okay.
like in your reference to the journalist, he's going to call you an idiot if he thinks you're
Yeah.
an idiot.
Yeah.
But he's allowed to do that just as much as you are allowed to ask a dumb question.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have we don't have too much time, but I have two more questions for you. Okay.
Okay.
Not questions, but I'm gonna say to you what he has proposed to do in a recent press conference, and I want to get your perspective on it.
Okay.
So he has proposed 100% tariff on foreign films. So that means he wants.
So you go to the cinema, you have to pay double the price.
You have to pay double the price for a movie that is shot outside the US.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, that's one. Okay. So basically, he labels them a national security threat on all foreign-made movies and accuses them of spreading propaganda. Okay, that's one. Okay, belum lagi. The second one is in a recent press conference juga, Trump confirmed he had offered to send the US troops to Mexico to combat drug cartels
Yeah.
responsible for fentanyl related
He has
deaths.
already declared, signed an executive order declaring that the drug cartels, the Sinaloa and there's another one. Can't remember the name of the Sinaloa cartel and another cartel as full-on terrorist organizations.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
okay. First of all, what do you think about the tariffs on foreign films?
I think it's not going to be that.
Okay. So basically,
Super.
even if it's a Marvel movie
Uh-huh.
and it's shot in Malaysia, for example,
Okay. Part of it or the whole thing?
part of it.
Okay.
So he will propose.
So how do you
100%
how do you implement a tariff for part of a, like?
So how, I mean, like, I'm not an economist. I don't really know. But what I understand is when you propose tariffs, like 100%, whatever percent, the people that would have to end up paying for it are the consumers and also the producers. So they would have to cover the cost. So in turn, that would make the movie
but
so
that's
much
not-
more expensive.
True, you're right. Usually that in reality that ends up becoming the case, but that's not on Trump. That's on the business owner, because especially for mass goods, mass produced goods, things that, for example, Amazon sells or whatever. The profit margin is more than 100%. So if you can shrink your profit, I'm not saying shrink your revenue, shrink your profit. So you shrink your profit a bit, you are still profitable, it's just less profitable, then you can absorb that cost and you don't have to pass it down to the consumer. So that's more of a business owner thing. But beyond that, I don't know how you're going to implement a tariff on a film that's made, like maybe 70% of it shot in the US and then 30% offshore. So I don't know how you're going to implement
I don't know
that.
how that's gonna work also, but
that sounds a bit ridiculous to me, to try to implement something like that. But I don't know. And then for the second one,
second one is him deploying troops to Mexico.
yeah, I think one of the presidents should have done that a long time ago, before the situation got out of hand.
What? Okay, I don't know what the Mexico president thinks about it.
She doesn't like it.
Yeah, of course. It's basically like
But if she has
Indonesia.
if you have your house in order, I don't have to come in and clean that toilet for you, do I?
No.
Yeah. If you clean your own toilet, I don't have to go in and clean your toilet.
No, but you could also argue the fact that Trump is using this to upset the balance of the military consignment in the Mexico.
Meaning?
Meaning, like, maybe he's just using the fact that, okay, there's fentanyl related drug cases from Mexico. He's just using that to put in more US troops in Mexico.
No, but
Just
that
for-
is a legit thing though.
Yeah. But it's not up to him to send his troops to the Mexico. Mexico should have done it themselves. What he can do is just basically like making the airports more strict. Make sure that the way the drugs would be flown or be directed into the
But you're
US is
killing
blocked.
Americans.
What do you mean?
The fentanyl that you're bringing in is killing Americans.
Yeah. I mean, like, you try to stop that lah. Instead of sending
he's
troops
Uh-huh.
to a different country,
Uh-huh.
you should focus on the security of your own country. Like, how do we stop this from getting in? Because I feel like, okay, let's say, he's from Indonesia. We don't go there and just go, okay, hey, stop burning all these trees. They're gonna do it, but how are we gonna deal with that?
But that's not the same thing though.
Okay, it's an example.
Yeah, it's not really comparable. But they are terrorists though.
Okay.
They terrorize their own people. They've been over the past few years, especially they've been going into tourist resorts and kidnapping people, Americans out. So I don't know. I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
Like, why defend them? Like, your argument is that let Mexico deal with it, but Mexico doesn't want to deal with it. They've proven that the Mexican government have been taking money from the cartels
Okay.
and taking direction. So you clearly cannot trust Mexico to do that. Like, it's the same thing. It's the same thing about the whole Netanyahu thing for me. Like, you already know that these are not going to do anything about it in this situation. So you can predict what they're going to do, which is nothing. So I do what I got to do. I have the most powerful military in the world. These guys have like Stinger missiles and all that. The Mexican military is not all that well equipped to fight, even if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why I think sometimes in places like maybe Mexico or I don't know, El Salvador maybe, they need a Duterte.
Yeah, that's what Naib Bukele did.
Naib Bukele, okay.
Yeah, he did the exact same thing in the Philippines that Duterte did. It's just that they loved him for it.
In Mexico.
In El Salvador.
Oh, in El Salvador, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they need someone like that in Mexico.
They do, but those guys end up getting dead. Yeah. So, like...
And, okay, speaking about that, I would never kill myself also. I just have to say that on camera. Because we do talk about certain things that,
I would never kill myself, so come at me.
Okay, on that note, I think it's time to call it an episode. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry for ranting a bit too much today.
Come at me, BB.
Alright, do let us know if you have ideas on things that we should talk about. If you have any comments, do let us know. Please like, share and subscribe to your friends. Anything else you want to say, Jay?
Nah, I think next week we might be covering some more local news.
Yeah.
Like a certain cabinet member just went missing suddenly, So we'll see. What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you next week. Ciao.
Let's go.